So a fair amount of you have asked me about my magnet wall. And today I thought I would show you how I organize it, why I have these here, and why it's a pain in the butt to use drawers, especially when you're ADHD and cannot ever remember where anything is, and you don't even end up using the tools that are hidden away in boxes. This is much nicer. Now, the first thing that drew me to the magnet wall was simply the beautiful way in which everything was laid out. And to be honest, it was an issue of aesthetics. I thought, wow, that looks so awesome. I think like many things, such as exercise and good behavior, it's often an aesthetic pursuit at first until you realize that there are auxiliary benefits to it. In reality, Mary May became the first person to show off this sort of thing. I saw a video that she had done and I was absolutely blown away by just how many tools that she had. And it was shortly around that time that I'd gone to an estate sale where I was told by a friend there would be woodcarving tools. And so, of course, the assumption is woodcarving tools at a garage sale, not very likely. Now anyway, it turns out at this particular garage sale, they did have wood carving tools, and I bought as many as I could fit into a Tupperware container without having a panic attack and spending the total of $300 I had in my bank account at that time. I was a young teenager. Anyway, returning to the kind of point of this video, the magnets. The beauty of the magnet is a almost tool for those of us who tend not to use the things that we don't look at regularly, right? I might buy a tool, put it away, and forget that it's there for years. Now, the beauty of the magnet for the ADHD is if your sense of, what is the term? Object permanence is not very good, having magnet strips is almost necessary, and having a sense of organization is helpful too. So I'll get to that in a moment. But yes, just being able to see that I have all different varieties of macaroni tool is going to help me when I'm working through a project and I'm thinking, well, what could I use for this? I need to get in this tight corner, and a V-tool won't work because I need to remove more material, and I want it to have a square shape. Oh, macaroni tool. So super helpful to have everything laid out and categorized. Now, I've just gone through and reorganized all my tools. For months or years they were sort of scattered about as I worked. That's okay. Every maybe a few months or a year or so, you might take the tools off the magnet strip just to vacuum behind the tools, because I'll say dust does collect behind these bad boys, and so that's where a nice bristle brush attachment for your shop vac is going to be really helpful in cleaning the area up. But aside from that, this is a fantastic means of organizing your tools. Now you might say, Alec, doesn't it charge the tools with a magnetic charge that attracts shavings and bits of metal when you're sharpening the tools? That's a great question. And yes, it does. And it is an issue to some extent if you really want to consider having a towel laying around to wipe the tools off as they're charged to the edge an issue. It's really not that big of an issue, and it doesn't dissuade me from using this excellent means of organization, because it's just as easy as that. You just have a towel nearby and you take and wipe the tool off as you're sharpening in the early stages of removing bulk material. It doesn't even seem to be a factor when you're polishing or honing the tools. The magnetic charge is a minimal issue, so I personally don't see that as justification to not use the magnets, but for some of you it might be a holdup. So I think I've gone through kind of the gist of it. Let's talk a little bit about organization. And the way that I do this is very, very simple. I tend to have the maybe 10 tools that I use the most nearest to me, right, at any given time. Now I have two workstations here, and I might have two different sets, so about 20 tools that are spread between these two workstations. Now, outside of that, I've got a really basic kind of system of organization here. This is just tool organization based on the specific shape, right? So this is a macaroni tool. this is the V-tool section. So these are all, with exception of this one, which I just placed there while I was talking. This is a V-tool section. Excuse me. Section. These are bent gouges. So on this side, I've got scooped gouges, and on this side, I've got back bent gouges, right? And so, and again, this one is misplaced. It should be over here. Down here, I've got skews. Now, skews, of course, are a flat chisel that have a angled grind to them, like so. So I've got a number of different types of skews, including these hook skews, which are these sort of rounded skews, thanks to a student who actually forged this for me, made this for me. Beautiful cherry wood handle. Anyway, that's called hook skew. But yeah, everything in between, all different shapes and sizes of skews here. And yeah, moving on, of course, on this side, further away, I've got my gouges. I've got all different varieties of gouges. My 9s here, my kind of 4s through 5s here. I've got my 9s over here, and I've still yet to put up all of the tools. That's why some of these spots are bare. I'm just going through and resharpening all of these. In fact, I just made a video on sharpening. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can check that out. That should be right around here, either linked or what have you. But that being said, this is an excellent way to organize your tools, and I hope that you take this to consideration. It's huge, again, for those of you who are struggling with object permanence, right? Which means the ability to kind of remember that something exists without its presence in your visual life, right? So this is super nice to have. So I do recommend it, and I don't know that there's that much to say more about it, other than give it a try. It's held on by 1 3/4 drywall screws, and of course this is wood paneling. Thankfully, as it's wood paneling, I don't need to worry about hitting a stud. And do you need to worry about hitting a stud if you're drilling this into drywall? If you have a really good drywall anchor, it might not be necessary. If you have a great drywall anchor that's going to go through the drywall, expand, and then pull against the drywall, those expanding anchors are ideal for that sort of thing. I wouldn't just screw into drywall, though. There's a lot of weight on this magnet, and just a normal screw without any anchor into drywall would be a mistake. So if you do have a drywall situation, that would be ideal. Really, the only auxiliary thing to mention here is that they are purchased from, again, I mentioned Harbor Freight in a previous video, the cheapest possible store in the States for tools. I believe these were on sale for $3 a piece. And I think on average they're about $5. So it's really not an expensive ordeal. It's a cheap way of organizing your tools. And I've got the metal bracket facing out, so directly on the magnet. Now you can do something that a friend of mine did. Doug Linker put some wood strips. He just ripped on the saw some really thin, I'm going to guess 3/4 inch or inch wide strips that protect the tools from the metal edge here, right? Because a lot of times if you're rushing to put this tool away, you can put it in such a way that it bumps up against metal. You don't want to do that. You don't want to dull your tools. So that is kind of a nice preventative measure on his part. But I don't have too much of a problem with bumping the tools against this edge, as I've been doing this, using this system for a while. So again, a non-necessary thing, but something that you could try out, and definitely looks neat. The wooden strip is a nice way of kind of classing this up a bit. So that's that. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something, and get yourself some magnet strips and organize those tools. Get them out of that old wooden box or the drawers in your house, and start using them. Start experimenting. Because what you'll notice is, as you experiment, as you pull those old tools out, you'll find that each tool has a beautiful and specific use that can even expand the horizons of what you carve. That's my closing statement. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.